All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Jermell Charlo deserves a shot at Canelo Alvarez, says Teofimo Lopez. Moreover, he says that both he, Jermall, and Jermell belong in the top 10 pound for pound. I have not always agreed with some things that Teofimo Lopez has said, but this is nothing but money. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So I am very happy to make my second positive Teofimo Lopez video in a row. So for all my detractors out there, make sure you keep count. Teofimo Lopez gave an interview, I do believe, to Fight Hype. Shout out to Fight Hype and shout out to Fight Hub, just in case, you know, the interview might have been on a different channel, but I believe it was Fight Hype. If not, shout out to both them and Fight Hub. Both excellent videographers, do terrific work in the sport of boxing. This particular interview, the interviewer asked Teofimo Lopez a series of questions. In the middle, he talked about Canelo Alvarez. I know you know who Canelo Alvarez is, more than likely, but necessity to sum it up in about 3 seconds. Canelo Alvarez is one of the best fighters in the world. I would have him on my top as my #1 pound for pound fighter in the world if it had not been for a positive drug test. But that aside, most certainly, Canelo Alvarez is deserving of respect for that man's skill and that man's accomplishment. It just is what it is. So it's not unreasonable that Teofimo Lopez would say, I think Canelo Alvarez is the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. Then he moves on and says, when he's asked, who do you want to see him fight? Do you want to see him fight David Benavidez? Who do you want to see him fight? Teofimo Lopez, to his, what's the word? Is it like everlasting credit? Everlasting credit, says, I want to see Jermall Charlo and Canelo Alvarez. I believe that that Jermall Charlo deserves that shot at the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. Now, when you listen to that sentence, right, from beginning to end, I don't agree with the #1 pound for pound only because of the positive drug test, but the rest of it, solid gold. Nothing but the truth. Love to hear it out that man. I want to call him a young man, but that man's mouth. Totally appreciate that. But then, as if that were not enough, right, he really impresses me and says, hey, man, I'm not just talking about Jermall Charlo deserving the shot. Also, Jermell Charlo, he and Jermell Charlo deserve to be top 10 pound for pound fighters. That tells me that he gave an honest answer, one that might not necessarily be popular with Canelo Alvarez fans or, you know, some mainstream boxing outlets and, you know, just the word of mouth that goes out on the street. To say that truth, like I said, everlasting respect to him for that, because we need more of that. We need people who are champions like Teofimo Lopez to stand up for other champions that may not be getting the opportunities that they deserve. Teofimo Lopez himself has been a very fortunate young man in regards to the opportunities that he's had. Now, when I've talked about Teofimo Lopez prior to the Vasily Lomachenko fight, I predicted he would beat Vasily Lomachenko. I predicted that for 2 reasons. The first reason was the political situation that was going on, and the standard business model, or the standard operating procedures is probably more accurate. We call them SOPs, standard operating procedures of the top rank organization. They, in my opinion, built from my observation, right? My opinion is based on my observation, not necessarily anything anybody told me, but just being a boxing fan for well over 30 years. I mean, an active fan, boxing fan for over 30 years, but man, maybe 45 years, as a boxing fan, right? As long as I could remember watching fights out there, fights on ABC that were replayed with Ali and all those guys. But I digress. I have a lot of respect for Teofimo Lopez saying that. Teofimo Lopez, when I had criticism with him, has never been about anything he could do in the ring. The reason that I predicted that he would beat Vasily Lomachenko wasn't just, like I said, the operating procedures of Top Rank, which what I think is to build a fighter up very, very quickly and then beat him with somebody in their own organization so that they can, like a transfer of power. They develop the power in this guy, publicize him, give him opportunities, let him get titles, good shots at titles where you know he's got at least a 75%, 80% chance of winning the fight. And, you know, therefore they have a greater chance of success. They build their fighters well, they give them time to develop, and then they put them in spotlights. The problem with Top Rank is, though, that they don't necessarily pay the people like they should. I'll talk about that, and give me about 30 seconds and we'll get to that particular topic. But when Teofimo Lopez when he speaks like that outside of his own personal situation, it gives me a lot more respect for him. Because, you know, my thing with Teofimo Lopez was, look, man, you are definitely the number one lightweight. I would not doubt, I don't think anybody has a good argument to the contrary. He has 3 of the belts. He beat Vasily Lomachenko. He beat a very difficult fighter, underrated fighter, and Nakatani, right? The guy has the skills. Money Pal the third, who is one of the guys that I respect a lot, who has a son that is a professional fighter who should be eventually, fighting himself into championship contention, spoke so highly of Teofimo Lopez's skill set. Before, I think he might have had maybe 15 fights or something like that when I heard about it. But they were very, very big on him, and he, in the ring, has shown nothing but what they said. Now, moving forward, there's something else I really liked about what he said. So I said this is the second positive video that I made about Teofimo Lopez, and I want y'all bums to count it, because what I get is a lot of sweat for whatever criticisms I might have of fighters, but mysteriously, the same people don't make it 9 minutes into my video where they'll hear me repeat at least 3 times the positives for somebody. They'll claim that I'm just patronizing them and trying to balance out my commentary at the same time digging somebody. That's not me. Teofimo Lopez is the number 1 lightweight in the world. As soon as he said that he was willing to fight Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis after he cleared out his mandatory, man, how could you do anything but respect that position? You're number 1, you're respecting the mandatory. And I think we should respect the mandatory's rights to have a shot at that title. So the fact that Teofimo Lopez is not just bypassing somebody because, I might not know who he is, you might not know who he is, but he's worked himself up through those ranking systems, regardless if they are, fully functional ranking systems, the most accurate. They're not the best ranking systems in the world, but he's respecting it. And I have to respect that. So back-to-back moves by Teofimo Lopez that I've seen that tell me, man, this young man definitely has a brain, without a doubt. Even the fact that he's saying to Bob Arum, look, you got to get me the money that I'm worth. Otherwise, I might take myself somewhere else. For him to say that at such a young age reminds me of Mikey Garcia and how Mikey Garcia was built up by Top Rank, and then just mysteriously at 126, Mikey Garcia just stops fighting, right? And we're like, where's Mikey? Where's Mikey? Where's Mikey? Where's Mikey? Well, Mikey is putting himself in a better situation financially, and that is what Mikey did. Mikey has had a successful pay-per-view with the PBC against Errol Spence Jr., and he's positioned to do the same thing again because he definitely has, cachet in his name, and he's taking advantage of that. Teofimo Lopez, with his recent statements about Top Rank, says even if he does stay loyal to Top Rank, that he at least has the mindset to understand, what he's trying to do in his future. And lastly, I have to respect the fact that he's specifically mentioning Tim Bradley and Andre Ward as people that he respects and people that he would listen to and people whom he would take guidance from. I won't tell you the specifics of why that impresses me beyond the boxing ring, but there is a portion of it that I respect beyond the boxing ring. But in the boxing ring, that tells me that that man knows that he has a way to go, that he has development that he needs to do, that he needs good mentors around him, like his father, regardless of whatever issues they might have had with me. That man took care of his son and got that man to be a multi-belt champion, and you have to respect that. Teofimo Lopez also, at some point in time with his new bride, had issues with his family. I'm not going to get into that. However, as you see their family operating now, you see that they came together as one, and I can appreciate that. I do not have to agree with, be party to, or benefit from the decisions of the Lopez family. From somebody that is just an outsider looking in, I, as a boxing observer, respect that man's skill, respect what that man's family is doing, but at the same time, I understand that Devin Haney's family working just as hard. Devin Haney himself working just as hard. That mandatory that he's working just as hard. Gervonta Davis and his family got the same plight. I respect that from Teofimo Lopez. I respect his last two moves. And to that young man, I say salute. Thank you very much. And I wish nothing but the best for you in the rest of your career. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.